At the start of its full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022, Russia launched approximately 150 to 200 drones per month. Now it produces and launches nearly 5,000 drones per month, according to an analysis by Foreign Policy. The publication recalled that on September the 7th, Russia launched the largest airstrike on Ukraine since the beginning of the full-scale invasion in just one night. The occupiers launched 860 Shahed drones and missiles. Just 2 days later, approximately 19 Russian drones violated Polish airspace, prompting NATO to scramble fighter jets to shoot down enemy targets. A few days later, a similar incursion into Romanian airspace followed. The publication believes that such incidents are part of a broader trend in which Moscow has made cheap attack drones the core of its air campaign. Since the beginning of 2025 alone, Russia has launched over 33,000 Shahed drones into Ukraine. During the same period in 2024, only 4,800 drones were launched. The publication noted that cruise and ballistic missile launches remained relatively stable. This change demonstrates the evolution of Russia's strategy, which involves maintaining high pressure on Ukraine's air defenses. The publication's analysis also states that the key to Moscow's strategy for using affordable drones is their scalability. They are being produced at several facilities across Russia, including those in Alabuga and Izhevsk. Ukraine is expected to deal devastating blows to these plants. There have already been attempts at this. Recall, Ukrainian defense forces have destroyed a major Russian ammunition depot in the occupied settlement of Bodanivka, Luhansk region, eliminating stocks of precision tank rounds and large quantities of drones. According to the General Staff of Ukraine on September the 22nd, Russian troops had organized the site as a distribution point for the 17th Tank Regiment of the 70th Motor Rifle Division. The facility stored ammunition of multiple types, including guided ZUBK-14 tank rounds designed to strike armored targets at distances beyond conventional tank munitions. The General Staff reported that the depot contained thousands of shells for artillery and tanks, along with tens of thousands of mines, grenades, and cartridges. Deliveries also included over 19,000 drones of various models intended for Russian units operating in Donetsk. Among them were the Molnia, Boomerang, Vandal Novgorodsky, and Gorinich systems, together with supporting equipment such as batteries, communications modules, and video transmitters. According to the Foreign Policy, Russians continue to source electronic components for their drones from other countries, despite Western sanctions. To achieve this, Russia uses various illegal supply chains. Moreover, its production capacity has allowed Russia to gradually improve its drones and introduce innovative solutions. In particular, the Geran 3 drone has a stated range of up to 2,500 kilometers, which, in theory, would allow Moscow to strike targets in parts of Central Europe. For the West, the main problem isn't even the difficulty of intercepting Russian drones, but the ability to shoot them down at an acceptable cost. For example, Poland had to deploy its own and allied fighters, which is an unjustifiably expensive way to eliminate enemy drones. The publication concluded that the main reason Russia prefers to use cheap attack drones is an attempt to exhaust Ukraine and crush its morale.
President Donald Trump returned to the United Nations on Tuesday to boast of his second-term foreign policy achievements and lash out at the world body as a feckless institution. According to Associated Press, world leaders listened closely to his remarks at the UN General Assembly, as Trump has already moved quickly to diminish U.S. support for the world body in his first 8 months in office. Trump insisted it was time to end the failed experiment of open borders. "You have to end it now," he said. I can tell you I'm really good at this stuff. Your countries are going to hell.
And some in cities, much smaller numbers, where rockets are shot, where drones are dropped. Not only is the UN not solving the problems it should, too often, it's actually creating new problems for us to solve. The best example is the #1 political issue of our time, the crisis of uncontrolled migration. It's uncontrolled. Your countries are being ruined. The United Nations is funding an assault on Western countries and their borders. In 2024, the UN budgeted $372 million in cash assistance to support an estimated 624,000 migrants journeying into the United States. Think of that. The UN is supporting people that are illegally coming into the United States, and then we have to get them out. The UN also provided food, shelter, transportation, and debit cards to illegal aliens. Can you believe that? On the way to infiltrate our southern border. Millions of people came through that southern border. Just a year ago, millions and millions of people were pouring in, 25 million altogether over the 4 years of the incompetent Biden administration. And now we have it stopped, totally stopped. In fact, they're not even coming anymore because they know they can't get through. But what took place is totally unacceptable. The UN is supposed to stop invasions, not create them and not finance them. In the United States, we reject the idea that mass numbers of people from foreign lands can be permitted to travel halfway around the world, trample our borders, violate our sovereignty, cause unmitigated crime, and deplete our social safety net. We have reasserted that America belongs to the American people, and I encourage all countries to take their own stand in defense of their citizens as well, because I see it. I'm not mentioning names. I see it, and I can call. Europe is in serious trouble. They've been invaded by a force of illegal aliens like nobody's ever seen before. Illegal aliens are pouring into Europe. Nobody is ever, and nobody's doing anything to change it, to get them out. It's not sustainable. And because they choose to be politically correct, they're doing just absolutely nothing about it. And I have to say, I look at London, where you have a terrible mayor, terrible, terrible mayor. And it's been so changed, so changed. Now they want to go to Sharia law. But you're in a different country. You can't do that. Both the immigration and their suicidal energy ideas will be the death of Western Europe if something is not done immediately. This cannot be sustained. What makes the world so beautiful is that each country is unique. But to stay this way, every sovereign nation must have the right to control their own borders. You have the right to control your borders, as we do now, and to limit the sheer numbers of migrants entering their countries and paid for by the people of that nation that were there and that built that particular nation at the time. When your prisons are filled with so-called asylum seekers who repaid kindness, and that's what they did. They repaid kindness with crime. It's time to end the failed experiment of open borders. You have to end it now. Let's see, I can tell you. I'm really good at this stuff. Your countries are going to hell. In America, we've taken bold action to swiftly shut down uncontrolled migration. Once we started detaining and deporting everyone who crossed the border and removing illegal aliens from the United States, they simply stopped coming. They're not coming anymore. We're getting a lot of credit, but they're not coming anymore. This was a humanitarian act for all involved because my administration has negotiated one historic trade deal after another, including with the United Kingdom, the European Union, Japan, South Korea, Vietnam, Indonesia, the Philippines, Malaysia, and many, many others. Likewise, in a period of just 7 months, I have ended 7 unendable wars. They said they were unendable. You're never going to get them solved. Some were going for 31 years, 2 of them, 31, think of it, 31 years. One was 36 years. One was 28 years. I ended 7 wars. And in all cases, they were raging with countless thousands of people being killed. This includes Cambodia and Thailand, Kosovo and Serbia, the Congo and Rwanda, a vicious, violent war that was, Pakistan and India, Israel and Iran, Egypt and Ethiopia, and Armenia and Azerbaijan. It included all of them. No president or prime minister, and for that matter, no other country has ever done anything close to that. And I did it in just 7 months. It's never happened before. There's never been anything like that. I'm very honored to have done it. Hard to believe, because if you look back just a year ago, it was millions and millions. It's too bad that I had to do these things instead of the United Nations doing them. And sadly, in all cases, the United Nations did not even try to help in any of them. I ended 7 wars, dealt with the leaders of each and every one of these countries, and never even received a phone call from the United Nations offering to help in finalizing the deal. All I got from the United Nations was an escalator that on the way up stopped right in the middle. If the First Lady wasn't in great shape, she would have fallen, but she's in great shape. We're both in good shape. We both stood. And then a teleprompter that didn't work. These are the 2 things I got from the United Nations, a bad escalator and a bad teleprompter. Thank you very much. And by the way, it's working now. It just went on. Thank you. I think I should just do it the other way. It's easier. Of illegal aliens admitted and entering our country has been. I didn't think of it at the time because I was too busy working to save millions of lives. That is the saving and stopping of these wars. But later I realized that the United Nations wasn't there for us. They weren't there. I thought of it really after the fact, not during these negotiations, which were not easy. That being the case, what is the purpose of the United Nations? The UN has such tremendous potential. I've always said it. It has such tremendous, tremendous potential, but it's not even coming close to living up to that potential. For the most part, at least for now, all they seem to do is write a really strongly worded letter and then never follow that letter up. It's empty words, and empty words don't solve war. The only thing that solves war and wars is action. Encourage continued conflict. Some of this body is seeking to unilaterally. Everyone says that I should get the Nobel Peace Prize for each one of these achievements. But for me, the real prize will be the sons and daughters who live to grow up with their mothers and fathers, because millions of people are no longer being killed in endless and unglorious wars. What I care about is not winning prizes, it's saving lives. We saved millions and millions of lives with the 7 wars. And we have others that we're working on and reject the failed approaches of the past and work together to confront some of the great